Hello and welcome to Dance Bants. I'm your host, and who am I? Genevieve. And today I'm here with Laura White. Laura grew up in the club scene, enjoying herself as a dance floor party goer. She has since travelled the world training in theatre and communications, but is best known as the owner and co-creator of Freedom Sessions, a free party in Sydney for people who just want to dance. Please welcome to the show, Laura White. Where are we?
Adventure time, for sure. Something in that magical, mystical land.
Choose your bleep.
Word.
The three big questions. Ooh. First question, what do you reckon?
I reckon Rona is a piece of word. But, however, in light of so many things, I feel like it's a great thing in some ways because it has no disrespect to anyone that's been sick or that has passed away or lost anyone. But I feel like it's kind of bringing to light a lot of great things. There's like creativity happening. There's a lot of people like doing a lot of soul searching, maybe some deep diving into what is important. It's been weird but great. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, great. Have you ever shat yourself?
I mean, no. I've been close. I'm like old club head. So there's like things that go with that club scene that you just sometimes there's no bathroom, sometimes you need the bathroom quite quickly. I'm going to say it's a no, but it's a close. It's a close.
Cool. Are you afraid of dying?
I don't think so. I've done a lot of kind of spiritual work stuff. That's the technical term for it. But I've been doing a lot of I think I've had a lot of death that has surrounded me for a long time. Like I've seen like getting real deep. I've had a lot of death around me. So I'm not an expert per se, but I have seen a lot of it. And I kind of understand it, and I'm not afraid because I want to see what's on the other side. But that's not to say I want to die anytime soon. That's covered a lot of ground in a small amount of time.
So, Battle of the Bickies.
Jats is a classic. Jats is a classic Australiana. I feel like if there's no Jats and Cabanossi and cheese at a party, then are you Australian and are you having a barbecue? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that is the quintessential, but it's also very 80s. I mean, there's no way that this is chicken. I don't know what this flavour is. I mean, it is chicken, it says on the pack, chicken crimpy. I don't know what a crimpy is. I'm a shapes gal. I'm always going to be a shapes girl. I like the spicy ones more so, like the pizza and barbecue. But I'm going to have to go the old chicken crimpy.
Once you have one, you can't really stop.
That's what I mean.
They've got that, whatever it is in there.
Crack.
They say baked though. They're baked, not fried.
Does that
means you can have as many as you want. Yeah, nah. Laura, have you ever stolen something?
Yeah.
Can you play a musical instrument?
Nah.
Can you sing?
Yeah.
Can you speak another language?
Nah.
Do you have an enemy?
Yeah.
Ballet or jazz?
Because if it's the jazz that like UK jazz, like jazz footwork, like house stuff, jazz.
Wiggles or high five?
Wiggles, 100%.
Splendor on the Grass or Carols in the Domain?
It's controversial, but word. Carols in the Domain, Splendor in the Grass.
Beginner tap or advanced tap?
Such a beginner. So I'm a beginner through and through.
Yeah or nah?
Yeah, nah.
Sometimes we do Wow Power Hour, which is a segment where you can bring a video and show me if you have a real favorite video.
It's a couple of years old now, but I'm obsessed with the band called The Blaze. They're stuck in this apartment and they're just like smoking weed and dancing, and there's no overtones that they are flat out, lovers. But it's this ambiguous, they're friends, they love each other, they could be lovers, they could not. And it's just this like everyday beautiful thing. And I'm really appreciative of when it's so subtle but also such a statement at the same time.
Yeah.
That's like my life. I feel like trapped in that little apartment in that film. That's
right.
And they got like some dope dance moves in it as well. So
nice one. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you've done.
I have lived in Sydney most of my life. I'm traveled the world, lived in London, lived in lived in New York City, lived in Toronto. I have trained extensively in theatre. So I have trained in New York City with that. I have studied comms And I'm also a mad club head. I have been clubbing since the age of 16, which I'm not going to tell you how long that's for because that'll give away my age. But it's for a very long time.
16.
Back in my day, Sydney was one of the dopest places to go out. Like, you used to go clubbing and now you kind of, well, pre-COVID, now you just go club. It's like one place. You can't do a plural. But like it was so much stuff. Like you could just turn up on at 2 a.m. if you wanted to and get in. Like that seems so weird to say now about Sydney because it doesn't exist.
Just before the virus, they cancelled those laws, right?
They did, which was from Keep Sydney Open, fighting super hard, which I was a part of for a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah,
and
cool.
It was a really great thing to be a part of and I really enjoyed working with them. I met some great people and they're all just, it's not that they were all massive club heads and druggies and drinkers.
No way, man.
They're
everyone. Artists, people, just everyone my age.
I want to go out and have a tea at like 2 a.m. if I'm still out. I don't necessarily want to go have a beer. What if I want to like go and defrag with my friends after the club and sit down and have a tea?
What happened, do you think? Like, why did the club scene die?
There was a lot of drugs. And I think that Australia is super conservative. We think that we're super chilled and relaxed and like surf culture. And it's like, well, we're actually not. Like there's much more of a multicultural, diverse range. Beautiful in that sense, but in other senses, we're super conservative and kind of, you know, a little bit behind, a little bit old school. I'm going to go straight in. The thing is that we don't know how to teach people in Australia how to understand alcohol. We have a mad problem with alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's a rite of passage. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate alcohol, but I think we have an unhealthy relationship with it. So there's a lot of alcohol and violence and things that intertwine.
It's all about this imbalance of the lifestyle, I think.
100%.
If you look at Europe, kids start drinking at 15 and they're fine by the time they get to my age. But the lifestyle is like partying, sex, fun. That's like at the heart of the life. Whereas here it's like those are things that are hidden until
away.
the last minute and you get to blow it all at once in a big music festival, take all the drugs in the world and then go back to your work and your job.
And pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Like once you hit a certain age, you're supposed to have kids, you're supposed to do all these things, you're supposed to own a house. But you can still go out and have fun. Australia wants to control things and the drugs are a lack of control. But because we don't educate people on the fact about drugs, I think that there's people that are scared about them. They see just the bad side of things. And yes, there's addictive personalities and yes, there's awful things that drugs have done. I'm not like condoning them. But I do think that sometimes they can open things up in our minds that we may not have accessed before.
They make it seem like there's this limitation on drugs, but you go to a music festival and every cat's on drugs.
Every single person. To the point of now, especially with the strip searching of all the kids, like with the pill test, without having pill testing, these kids are seeing like police and just dumping everything straight away. And it's like unsafe. It's unsafe. So instead of doing it in a safe manner, it's becoming a problematic.
When I met you, you introduced yourself as a connector. Is that right?
100%. That's what that is. If you were to pigeonhole, which I hate, but if you were to pigeonhole things, I'm kind of like, I like to put myself as a connector and a challenger. So I'm not necessarily, I'm like 100% supportive of all my friends and all like the scene and communities, helping people go where they can go. Like a lot of people will say that I ride on coattails if they don't know me, if they're a bit scared of their own ego. But I just want to see Australia be as powerful as the rest of the world. Do you know what I mean? In the fact of being open and emotive and vulnerable and successful. Like a lot of dancers leave Australia because there's a ceiling that they hit and they feel like they can't do what they want to do here. Connector is like on the dance floor. That's my favorite place. So, yeah.
Cool. That's exactly why we're here. In the new age of technology, I think there's no reason why dance can't be huge here.
It could be massive. For me, I put on a free dance party, which it's all free. I like freedom session, a free space to be whatever the word you want to be, whatever the hell you want to do. And it's like, you don't have to be a dancer. You don't have to be like, I have a lot of people who come in and they're like, but I can't dance. I'm like, yeah, you can dance. Like my Will, who also does freedom sessions, who's now in Brisbane, is like, if you can walk, you can dance. And it doesn't cost anything to anyone. And it's just about connecting on a dance floor and just, we've been.
Yeah.
And just being loose.
I've only been once and now I want to go back every time. So you're not technically a trained dancer.
No.
How'd you end up getting interested into dancing, I guess?
Okay. If you want to go way back, my mum is a massive music head. So when she was pregnant with me, she still have the big old 80s headphones on the womb kind of.
Nice.
And I felt like I came out dancing. Always love all different types of music, but then dance music came along. And when I was about 16, I was like, this is fucking crazy. I'm in. And I just was like going clubbing, going out. I've done bits and pieces of classes. But me going back to being a challenger, I find it really hard to do choreo or anything in a classroom. I started doing theatre, performance-based theatre, and I started doing I love like Stanislavski and all this like movement stuff like Laban, and really got into it. And I loved the tripped outness of it, like being like, how do you feel? Do this. And what does a tree look like when it's growing? And, super tripped out that went with my warped brain.
Yeah.
And I was like just going in with it. And so now, even when I'm on a dance floor, I feel like that theatre stuff is more my expressionism than dance, but I just do that in time.
Right. Well, it's the same thing.
Right. Sometimes I wish I had better moves to be able to fully express.
Right. Well, this is what we were going to talk about, right?
But we were talking about being free and how trained dancers have a problem with expressing themselves fully, and how there's club heads like myself who can express but wish they knew more moves. And
yeah, right.
I feel like in both realms, it's like, I don't know how I look, and and being a classically trained dancer, I feel like you were saying that how certain things need to look. So not hitting those marks is a big mind work for you. And then so being free in a way takes away everything that you've trained from. So how do you feel about that? I'm gonna have another one.
How do I feel? There is a certain mindset that develops, like the way.
Etiquette?
Yeah, the etiquette.
Yeah.
The ballet etiquette is really specific, and it's all based on respect and silence and obedience and perfect form, right? That's what the whole thing is, like how you look and the shapes you make, which is great. And
do you feel like because you're quite expressive anyway. I see you on Instagram, and when you're at freedom sessions, like I don't see you being trapped by those things, but I know mentally it still exists.
That is how I would put it. I'd say over the past 5 years, I've been in a deep and consistent study in an attempt to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And it's changed a lot. And I have to say, like, the biggest thing for me was learning Gaga technique. I think freestyling is the most important skill, and it is a skill and it's a tool to teach kids when they dance, because in the end, it's all you're ever going to have. Like
100%.
A lot of ballet dancers quit when they finish their career because they're like, well, if I can't go to class and be with my company, then I don't know what to do.
One of my favorite things is if someone says to me, dance to the color of autumn.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, ready.
Yes,
I can do whatever you want me to do. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But if you give me a move to do, I'm like, I freeze. So I'm in the opposite realm. I would totally freeze. I'd be like, that's the stuff that needs to be. I think that we're so regimented with dance classes, and I think that's why I balked at them and I hated them so much, because I would wish there was more freedom to do that expression stuff. And if my teachers had done that, I would have been in a different realm.
I feel like when you go to a popping class, freestyling is part of the learning process.
Yes. Like there's definitely, I feel like, look, the street scene in Australia is growing, and it's so beautiful to see. And I really do think that people within the dance community need to support all the little communities to make it one big one. That's how we'll be stronger. And that includes parties and people and like just people who want to take classes for fun. And I know this is a bane of contention, and I'm not a dancer in that realm, but if you just do studio work, does it then defeat the purpose of street?
Yeah. Big question.
I want to know because
I
learned all my stuff communicating with people on a dance floor and just doing weird shit and like mind melding with them on a dance floor, listening to a song and tripping balls. Like I loved that stuff. Only in the studio do you get the full thing of street. Also, I'm not on both sides. I'm only on one.
Right.
Do you know? So I don't know. What do you think? Like if you
I don't know either. I'm very not on the side of either. But I'm sure that's certainly the word on the street from some of these like dope dancers.
Don't should on yourself. I hate the word should, but you could be battling. You could be in studios and you could be at the parties. I feel like it's a three-prong approach.
Yeah, you could be watching the battles.
Yeah. And like it's not necessarily always battling. Sydney was a different place, man. Sydney was such a different place. And now it feels like we're trapped in Footloose.
What can we do as dancers in the scene and other people, just people? But yeah, what can we do to like try and build that back up?
I think it's supporting. Support is the biggest thing. Like support your local parties. Like there's so many times where people would pay to go to events that were word. I'm like, there's so many parties I know that are for free. Start your own events. Start your own parties. Have people from different communities. If people don't know how to dance but want to be there, like include them. There's a as much as we try not to, there is an exclusivity to dancers and people who don't dance. Like we have this thing at like a few people have come up to me at Freedom Sessions and been like, I can't dance. I want to be in there and I want to enjoy myself, but I'm not drunk enough. It's taken me a long time to then dance freely in front of people who are classically trained. Because before I was just with club heads who never would say anything. And it's me judging myself. People would come in and say, hey, I can't dance. I want to dance, but I don't know. I'm not good enough to be dancing with you guys on a dance floor. And that like would break my heart. And I would turn around to them and I'd be like, I'll give you a little secret. Pretend. I was like, bear with my crudeness. I was like, pretend you've got a paintbrush shoved up your butt and then paint your name. And like you watch them. I was like, doesn't matter how you do it. When you watch their face kind of go, and the smile that comes over because they're moving their ass in a totally different way and they're out of their head. Like, right, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so then if that doesn't work for you, start extending it through your body. Like paint your name with your hands while you're doing it. If you like hands more, or paint it with your,
Yeah, this is the word I'm about,
And then I watch these people come on the dance floor and that's the biggest thing for me. To watch them then go, oh yeah, I don't need to give a word.
Nice.
Dream.
Yeah, cool. Being female.
Ooh.
I feel like you've got lots of things to say about this. Go on.
What makes you think that? I think it's a superpower. Don't get me wrong. I think that if a male is in touch with their femininity, it becomes such a beautiful thing. Like if we were to personify Australia, I feel like it would be a vapid teenager who is like only cares about looks and is like an influencer on Instagram. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's like I want to make it's more diverse and multicultural. There's so many powerful freaking women in this city who I see don't get forward more, right? I'm all about like I champion everyone, but I will champion my sisters like through and through. I feel like whatever a man can do, a woman can do. Western cultures are the only places that don't have these women as like deities, as like, that they respect. It's like, it's all like a very mother figure. And so if you're not the mother, then you're kind of like this librarian mother-esque. Then you're like a femme fatale, like word demon. And it's like, there's this like, that's the dichotomy of females in here. But being a girl, like we have so much, like especially on a dance floor. Like if you like having this like masculine energy of hip hop and then mixing in this like kind of femininity, it's beautiful to watch. Out of this world. Like, okay, prime example. I was at Summer Dance Forever last year, which was amazing. There was Nene, Nubian Nene and Toyin. And they did this. And so you can watch it online. But word, like that because they love each other so much and they're in the same crew and there's so much respect. Like Serena and I were up the back bawling our eyes out, like crying like word. Because it was this generosity of space, this generosity of space of where these two women who respected each other so much, battling it out, but just were more like, here's the platform, like rise on it. Like I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
That's so women.
And it's like.
That's so women do.
Right? It was like. It's like one side was fire, but the women were water. It was like this like emotional, powerful kind of dream. And I lost my mind. Like I'm like, that's what I want to see more of. I think battling is beautiful, but battling is like such like this masculine, like especially that has to be in some worlds like Crump and everything else, it has to be in that street scene.
Yeah.
But in house, it's so feminine and it can be so feminine that it is enriching. That was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. That's changed my life. And I've seen like a lot of battles and a lot of stuff, but seeing those females, that was powerful. That was some queen word,
Yeah.
There's a lot of older, and I say older by not that old, but, over 30, older women in this scene that we have that are so powerful to this scene in Sydney that if we were to embrace that and also our identity of Indigenous Australia, like combined, so allowing us to be more feminine and then this beautiful cultural side, like, and let it infiltrate our culture more, Australia would be the best place. Like it would have you can say that about anywhere, if they but having that, allowing that vulnerability and that beauty to come through and this beautiful cultural Indigenous history and allowing them to shine and like being, how they celebrate the earth and look after the earth. Those two things.
Yeah, that's what we really need, isn't it?
Man, it would be a dream. It would be an absolute dream. Dance world, it's in everything and like the vulnerability is seen as weak. But it's to be able to show your strength and in vulnerability in a way without that being like this weird oxymoron. But also surrender.
Yeah, surrender. That's huge.
We were all coming together just dancing in front of each other.
Yeah, it's almost a shame that it has to take a person as big a deal as Frankie to make that happen.
Yep.
And that's what he was trying to preach. And maybe it's just a shame about the virus. For a second there, it seemed like everyone was believing in the possibility of a community. Yeah. Like I think he saw it too. He was like, I can see that you guys don't do this often and this is like a big release for you kind of. Yeah. And he was trying to say like, you don't need me to be here. You can keep doing this without me here.
Yeah.
And we were all 100%. Like, oh.
And that is honestly one of the basis of why Freedom Sessions started, because I was in New York City being able to have that community where you can let go and just do whatever. Like it is starting. It's maybe slow, but I feel like there's so much happening. I feel like the support is the biggest thing. Like turn up to your friends' events, turn up to your friends' performances, shout them out, do whatever. Like, it's just be vulnerable about it.
I will think I don't want to go to an event because it's going to make me look silly if this event is a failure. And then for that reason, I don't go and then the event is a failure or not.
And do you think that then you've played a part in their failure?
Exactly.
Because
totally.
And then you feel guilty.
And then everyone's doing it all together.
Or do we just go in with an open mind and go, word, they're my friends. I should be there. Or like I should be supporting my scene or could be supporting my scene and helping them out no matter what. Even if there's 7 people there, why is that a failure? Yeah. Surely people coming together and doing something different and supporting each other will never be a failure.
Thanks for coming, Laura.
Thanks for having me. That was so much fun. I really appreciate you listening to my rants and my
I loved listening.
Wealth of knowledge.
Where can people catch you?
I'm on Instagram, Laura J. White. But you can also jump on Freedom Sessions and also take a look at that, because the more support that we have, the better we can make this community.
Yeah.
Without sounding like a lameoid, it's like that old thing of a high tide rises all boats.
Word.
Thanks. Things can change here.
Great. Well, I was going to say, do you have any final words? But that's like pretty nice final word.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think that might be it.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.